Hey everybody, in this video, I'm going to give you 6 tips for taking an online course. And the main reason I wanted to get this out to you is because, and I mentioned this in a podcast that I released recently, is that this is one thing I love about web design, you can create a successful web design business and you don't need to go to a 4-year college and rack up a bunch of debt. You can learn from people who are experts in their fields or who have been where you want to be through online courses, and you can fast track your way to creating a successful web design business. This is why I'm so passionate now about creating courses and sharing my experience and what I've learned. And you can do that through online courses. Now, the caveat is when you take an online course, it's kind of up to you to make sure that you get a return on your investment. I mean, most course creators should give you some actionable tactics and they should give you kind of a plan and be able to implement what you learn. But there are a lot of things that I've found that you kind of have to discover on your own to make sure that you get that full ROI, your return on investment, when you join a course. Now, I'm giving this to my students to make sure my students are well prepared to know how to take my courses, but I wanted to give this to everybody, and I'm actually dishing out some tips that I have applied myself because I take courses too. I just went through a podcasting course a few months ago before I launched my podcast, and I'm just now going through a Zapier course to learn about automation, and then after that, I'm going through an advanced SEO course to learn more about some really advanced stuff with SEO. So these are things that I've applied that have really helped me that I know are going to help you too. So without further ado, let's dive into the 6 tips to taking an online course. Number 1, you have to make the time. You're not going to find the time. This is huge because I see so many people online that say, well, as soon as I find the time, I'm going to take a course or I'm going to do that. Or I've had people tell me, yeah, I'd love to take that course, but I just need to find the time. You're never going to find the time. It doesn't matter. And this applies to all areas of life. You are not going to find time. You're not going to say, ooh, look, there's some time on my desk, or ooh, the calendar, there just happens to be some time there. And what happens? If you do have some free time, you're probably just going to use it up with scrolling on Facebook or something. So you've got to be intentional. You've got to make the time to take a course. Now that leads us into number 2, which is to actually put it in your calendar. If it ain't in the calendar, it ain't gonna happen. So one of the best things to do is to make the time, being intentional about it, and then actually schedule that time out in your calendar. I did this when I went through that podcasting course. It was, it was a pretty decent long course. It was like 12 or 13 hours or something like that, all told, all together. And I actually took like 2 full days and a couple other days after that to go through some remaining lessons, but I put it in my calendar. Now, I did some email beforehand and after to make sure I did catch up with things I had to do business-wise, but the majority of my time was dedicated to the course. Now, I get that not everyone can do that depending on your schedule, but even if you can only do, say, a 2-hour block, make sure you schedule that out. Put it in your calendar. If it ain't in the calendar, it ain't real. So put it in your calendar and it will really help you actually get through the course. Because side note, I'm amazed at how many students, and I see this in my numbers, will buy a course, but they never go through it. Or they'll do like 2 lessons and then they just never make time for it and then they trail off. And that's not what I want. That's not what any course creator wants. We want people to go through the entire course and we want it to be impactful and life-changing. So put it in your calendar, make it real. That'll help you get through a course. Number 3 is to limit your distractions. So just like everything else in life, wherever you are, be there. So if you're going to take a course, don't have Facebook open, don't have your email open, and don't have a bunch of other Slack or whatever you're doing. Don't kind of half-ass it and do a bunch of other stuff at the same time. Give your dedication to that lesson each time. Now, if you need to take little breaks, if you need to do a lesson that's a half an hour or 45 minutes, take a little break, a little social media interaction, and then get back to it, that's cool. But don't do 10 things at once when you're taking a course. It's just like anything, you're not going to retain it. More importantly, you're not going to give it the action steps that it's required to help you in your business. So limit distractions, turn your phone off, turn your email off, give it your all, and watch how much better that course is going to impact your life. Number 4 is to take accountability or advantage of any accountability that you have with that course. So what I'm talking about if there is a Facebook group, like a private course group, or if there's any sort of forum or membership thread or anything, take advantage of those groups. I have private Facebook groups for a handful of my courses, and it's been great because students can connect with other students in that course. They can ask questions that are pertinent to that course and those subjects, and it's been a huge help. It's also a great way to connect with the course creator generally too. I mean, depending on how big the person is who is doing the course. Like I've taken some courses for people who are huge influencers, so I'm not going to talk directly to them likely, but most cases, particularly in web design, you're going to be able to talk with the creator. And that's what all my courses are for. Everyone who takes my course can reach out to me and I get back to them. So take advantage of any accountability chance that you have with courses that you take. Number 5, and this is a big one, put your learnings into action ASAP, immediately. Now, like I mentioned previously, most good course creators should give you kind of an action plan. Now, sometimes that's written out or it's like a workbook or a guide. My courses they're not really subjects where you're going to have like a guide per se because it's on your business, but I do give action steps and action plans for each course, and there's things that can be applied immediately. For example, if you take my CSS course, I want you to build a site along with the things that I'm doing. I don't want you to just watch it and say, oh, that's cool. I want you to actually kind of work alongside me. Now, that's not a distraction. That's something you're doing with the course, but those are the kind of things that you want to apply immediately. So whatever course you take, depending on what the subject is, make sure you try to apply something immediately as soon as you can. It's going to make a big impact on your business, opposed to taking a whole course and then thinking about it a month later and being like, what did I learn on that course? Now I have to revisit it. Make sure you apply it immediately. And that leads us to our final tip, which is tip number 6, which is to actually take a course when you're ready to apply it. This is a big one because I found a lot of people will take a course on a subject that they're maybe just interested in, but they really don't need to apply it yet. And then what happens? They might learn some stuff, it might be cool, but they don't really make anything of it. And it's going to be harder to get a return on your investment if you take a course and just think about it and then maybe eventually take some action, because then you're going to have to re-go through the course or it's just not going to apply. So for example, the podcasting course that I took that while I was building my podcast. I took that intentionally while I created the title, while I created the description, the intro. I kind of put my game plan in action. And I did that while I was doing the course, opposed to taking a podcasting course and just getting some ideas and then launching it a year later. And I recommend the same for my courses. Now, there's no harm in buying a course if there's a sale or when you're ready and then diving into it when you make the time, but you definitely want to make sure you can apply it. So in the case of like my courses, if you want to create a maintenance plan for your business and you're ready to do it right now, that's the time to take my maintenance plan course. I wouldn't recommend taking it if you're just getting started out and you want to learn a little bit about it, but you're not ready to quite launch your plan. So you really want to take courses when you're ready to apply them. That's going to help you out in the long run too. So there you go, guys. There's my 6 tips on taking an online course. I hope those help you. Again, I wanted to put this out for my students, and then I figured, you know what, I'm going to give this to everybody because it's super important. Online courses are great, guys, and I'm not just saying that as a course creator. You don't have to go to an expensive 4-year college degree to make it in web design and to make a really good income. So hope these helped you out, and enjoy whatever course you take next.